So in Jump at School, we used a between group experimental design, which means that we have an experimental group and a control group. So the experimental group or the intervention group is the one that receives the treatment. So it's and the control group, we measure them, but they don't receive the treatment. The two groups are very similar. So the golden rule of experimental methods are actually the random assignment. So we want the two groups to be as similar as possible. That means in the experimental group, the participants in the experimental group should have more or less the same characteristics. They should be more or less the same gender. For example, in Jump at School, we checked that the GPAs were more or less the same as in the control group. And the number of absences. So we checked a number of variables, and we tried to make sure that they are as similar as possible. So the control group, as I say, does not receive the intervention, but they get measured at different points in time. So in Jump at School, we had a measurement at the beginning. So that was a pre-test. And then we used the same exact measurement at the end of the intervention, which was the post-test, for both groups. So that means one group received the intervention, one group did not receive the intervention, but because of the random assignment, they were very similar. And that means the only thing, it sounds very simple now as I say it, but it's a very long statistical process. But the difference that you're trying to measure is how better does the experimental group do compared to the control group at the end. And because they are as similar as possible at the beginning, we assume that no outside factors affect the intervention, and that means that if the experimental group improves or becomes worse, it's because of the intervention. So in our case, we really hope that they improve so that we know that the intervention works. So we'll carry out descriptive analysis as a starting point. So in that sense, we'll put all the data together for the 4 different schools and kind of try to build a picture of how the data looks like. So we'll check how many boys took part, how many girls took part, what were their ages, what kind of GPAs did they have. And then we'll move on from this descriptive part to more inferential statistics. So inferential statistics try to make relations to the general population. So our target group was early school leavers or students at risk of early school leaving. And when we do inferential statistics, we want to kind of speak to the whole population of potential early school leavers. And in the pre-questionnaire, we have different elements. So we can check about the motivation of the students, the engagement, and different kinds of dimensions. So we will be able to tell if not only by their GPAs if they improved or they didn't improve, but we can also tell if their motivation went up, if their school engagement went up, if they still intend to stay in the school at the end of the intervention.